Hello, welcome back to Ekmalay Studio. I'm Azadin. In the last video we done the pool and we finished the ground, so I think now it's time to add a light to our scene and see how everything's look like together. So I think I'm gonna create a night scene, night lighting scene, so I prefer to have a night time, but that's up to you if you want to light up your scene differently. So let me turn on the shortcut again. The scene is being light up by just an image which is in here in shade mode. If you select this one, this is how our scenes look like in rendered time. I mean in rendered version. So we don't have any light, but this is just being light up by an HDR image. So we're gonna do that as well. So if I go to this mode, which is render mode, and render our scene now, yeah, as you can see, even this what you see here is just been light up by, if you go to our world and then change this color to black, there should be no light, just like that. If I'm rendering again, it should be black and there's no light in our scene. So what I'm going to do, I'm gonna add an image or HDR to light up just as an ambient light our scene, and then we're gonna add more lights to light up our scene. I need to go to shading mode, this one, and then change from here to render mode so we can see what we are doing now. And in here change this one to world. So this is similar to this one in node mode. So this is when you're playing with the node and your material. So any material we done here, they have the node which is connecting with each other and doing the job you see in here. So let me duplicate this one. So shift D and then just duplicate, and we're gonna add an image to this one to light up our scene. So if I go in this one here, and you can select environment texture, so just like this, it's going like this purple color because we don't have any image selected. So you need an HDR nighttime if you want to have a nighttime, or a daytime if you want to light up for daytime. So if I select this one, this photograph are taken in Wales, so when there one time. So I just change this image to like a nighttime just by Photoshop, and I'm gonna open this one. So we can see just add a little bit of ambient light, like a bluish color, to our scene, which is what we want. And we need to be able to connect the other one as well, because now if you can see, we can see the background of this image in the background as well. So we don't want that to happen. We just want to light up our scene, but we don't want to see the image in the background. So this is where we want to add another mix shader. So I'm gonna shift A, and then you can search here, just type in mix, it should come out mix shader. This is what you want, and then just put in between, it's gonna connect, and the background still there now because we haven't connect this one as well, like this, but it's still mixing between both of them. So we want to separate them to be able to have a more control. We need another node, so which is shift A, and then just search for light path. So if you type light, it should come out light path. This is what we want, and put it just anywhere, and connect this one to factor. It should remove our background, and as you can see, the background is being removed. Now you can choose any color for our background from this one. So if you select this one and make a really dark black or any color, that's up to you. This is a good way if you want to have a HDR to light up your scene and don't want to see the image in the background. If I choose different image, I mean this one, which is like a daytime, it's gonna light up our scene as the daytime, as you can see. So I'm gonna choose the night one, and from here we go in. And another thing I want to mention, this is the strength of the light you want to have by the image in your scene. So if you make it like high, it's gonna add more light or lower. So I'm gonna do about, maybe, because we just want it's night time, so we just want a little bit of ambient light by this image. I think I'm gonna do 0.6 should be okay, and we can't change this one later anytime when we add more light. So I'm going back to layout mode like this. We have our vault light, and now I'm gonna add another light as a moon on the side to our scene. So let me add another light. Let me try with the spotlight, maybe. Let's try spotlight, and then I'm gonna move it up G Z and move it up like this. I'm gonna move it to this side, and then G Y, and then we're gonna rotate to face it to our scene. So I'm gonna press R X and then just rotate like this. Or you can just select this one and move it to wherever you want your light to look at, like that. So I'm gonna move the light a little bit down. I want the lighting to go from this direction. So GX, move it down a little bit like this, and then facing this way. And going to light property by going in this object data property, and now our light is too low, the strength of the light. So this is where we can change to higher the number. So if I press Q1, you can see it just lighting up a little bit around this area. And the radius, which is and the size as well, so we want quite big. And I'm gonna change the color to bluish color because it's night time. And shadow property as well. So I'm gonna move it a little bit closer to our house by pressing G and Y. Move it like this, and I'm gonna move it up G Z like this. Down. And if you want, like for example, the shadow to be a little bit stronger, you can turn on this one, so you'll have a contact shadow, which give little bit better shadow in here. So, and the other thing, which is the how far the shadow it is from the object. Sometimes leave this gap in between. So I think if you play with the base, it may help. and start clipping. And the distance of the shadow you can play with this setting as well. Thickness of the shadow, because it's night time, I don't have a really strong shadow. There are settings for the shadow as well in the render property as well in here. So if you go to shadow property here, this is adding the quality to the shadow. If you but it's add time, I mean rendering time, it's going up as well when you change this one to higher. This is the high resolution or high quality of the shadow. And this you can change the light threshold as well by giving more exposure or less. So let me change this one, and you can see what it does. So I'm gonna just undo, I think 0.01, it should be fine. And there are other property as well in here as a soft shadow. If you don't want soft shadow, that's up to you. So you just move this one, it gives you a little bit not soft shadow. Or if you want soft shadow, you just turn on this. So I'm gonna keep this setting like this now, and I'm gonna turn on plume as well, because when we add light to our lamp, we need some glowing around the lamp as well. So that's why I'm gonna turn on this in this area, and we going back to our lighting. So I'm going to add more light to our scene, and then we're gonna play with the property more with the moon. You can always change the property here. So let me add another light to one of our lamp by Shift A, and then I'm gonna choose point light this time. So I'm gonna move this light into this lamp. The easy way to do, if you select this one, our lamp, and then right click, and then move snap cursor to select it. So we're gonna move our 3D cursor to this object, and then select our light selection to cursor. Sorry, it was this one, just a bit confusing. And now we have one light in there, so I'm gonna press G and Z to move it up a little bit like this, and we're gonna play with the setting as well. So first I'm gonna change the color to like orange kind of color, and I'm gonna give it 15, little bit more strength, and I'm gonna turn on contact shadow as well, and I'm gonna move this base, because that's why sometimes you have a gap between the shadow and the object connecting to each other. So that's why just move down, because it is soft shadow. So it's if you don't want soft shadow, you always go there and then just select this one, and you will have stronger sharp edge shadow as well. But I'm gonna keep it like this, and then later on we're gonna decide which way we're gonna go. And we need to have some kind of like a light in our lamp. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna add an object which is just Shift A. I'm gonna add ecosphere, or however you pronounce it. So S to scale it down like this, maybe a little bit more, scale it down, and then I'm gonna move it up, G, Z, like that. Sorry, and now I'm gonna give it different material, which is to shine and have a glow. That's why we turn on the setting, which is this one below here, we tend to want this one to have some kind of glow in our scene. So by giving a material to this one, and I'm gonna change this one to emission and change the color to orange, and you can change the strength to your liking. So you just have a little bit of glow in our scene, to our light. I'm gonna change the radius of our light, make it smaller. That's why sometimes the shadow is too soft. If you change this one, it help give a little bit sharper shadow. So if I make this one smaller, you can see, if you look at here, you can see how it's affecting like this. You see there's no shadow, but if you change it to smaller one like this, it's just give a little bit sharper shadow. And you can move the light to the area which you prefer to have a good shadow, because it's still nobody know where exactly the light it is. It just make it right in the right position. That should be fine. And the other thing, I think I want to remove the shadow from the glass, because we don't want our glass to have shadow as well. So if I go to glass, and I think I'm gonna make this one separate, because maybe we don't want a similar one for our window, because if you remember, when we done the material, we add just the glass from the window to this one. So just in case I don't want to change anything to our window, I'm gonna remove the link between them. So this is gonna be separate one. So I'm gonna just give this one light glass, just to be in the safe side. That's it. And then if you go down and shadow mode, just make no. So if there's any shadow effect, I mean, on the way from the light, that's gonna be removed. And let me add this light into this one as well. So I'm gonna select this one and right click, snap cursor to select it, and then I'm gonna duplicate this just light. I'm just selecting light, shift D, and just move it to the side a little bit. So G, just move it to somewhere you can select, and then right click and snap select it to 3D cursor, so it should move to this one, and then just move it up, G, Z, put it somewhere inside, which is more interesting. And then we need our glowing bulb as well from this one. So let me select that one, and then shift D, and then just copy to somewhere and just snap selection to 3D cursor. Should be moving to this side, and then we just need to move it up a little bit. So G, Z, move it up like this, and we have another light on this side as well. And now I think, because I don't want to take long time doing this, so I'm just going quickly doing some light in the windows as well. So for the window, I think I'm gonna choose point light as well, but let me move 3D cursor to somewhere in the window. So shift and right click, so our 3D cursor move to where the window it is, and then shift A and then add another point light there. And I'm gonna move it back a little bit, so GX to move it inside. As you can see, there's like a gap here, like the shadow is not connecting to the wall exactly. I mean, if you turn on this setting, sometimes it fixes the problem, so this is better. And let me light up this light and give it different color. So I'm gonna give it orange color and make this one about, let's make it 50 and see how it is. And I think because our window material is casting shadow, that's why we have that problem. So probably I'm gonna remove casting shadow from this one as well. So no, yes, and that's which is fixing the problem. And we have but because it's soft shadow and this quality of the shadow, as I said, there's other setting in the render property you can change and to make it a little bit sharper. One thing, if you want, like I just mentioned before, if you want like don't want to have a soft shadow, you just turn off this one, and then you play with the setting to make it a little bit softer by increasing the quality of this. But I don't want to change, because sometimes when you have too much thing in here and you change this one to really high, it may crash, the software may, the blender may crash. So let me save to be on the safe side. But you can change and play with this one to have, like, if you can see, still making it a little bit better in quality. If you're going a little bit higher, it should fix the problem. But I'm gonna keep it low for the sake of, because I'm recording and doing other things on the computer. I don't want, you know, to lose, I mean the blender is gonna crash. And let me select the, if I can select the light again and move its position, it may make a little bit better. So G Z, move it up a little bit more, because I don't have a shadow. If you move it up, the shadows get closer to the wall. If you move it down, it's gonna get, if you can't see like this, how it's affecting the shadow. So just move it to where you think it's right place, and that should be fine. And the other thing we want to do is the material. Now it's just black. We want to give it some light to our material as well. So if you go to select your window glass and go to material, and in here, if we just change this color to a little bit emission, so it's gonna glow and have a little bit more interesting look as well. So you can make it really like this if you want really glowing light in your scene like this, if you're happy, or how much you want. So you just play with this one, depend on the look you're after. So that's another way to make it your scene a little bit more interesting. And when you're done one light, so it's all about to copy to the other windows as well. So select your light and then shift D and Y and move it to this side until you can't see it's in the right position. So you can look at the shadow and you know where is the right place for your light. And let me copy that again. I hope it's still selected. So shift D, yes, still selected. So Y, and then move it like this. And if you go to this side and then G X, move it like this. So just by looking at the shadow, you know where your light is. So I'm just gonna move it a little bit closer to the window by G, Y. Maybe your direction is a little bit different than mine, so if mine is X and maybe yours is Y, just make sure to move it to the right direction. And now we light our scene like this. So I think it's look not too bad. If you want like more light and make it brighter, then you play with your moonlight, give it just a little bit more strength, and any of these light as well you can play with it. Or if you really like, you can add more lights to anywhere else. And sometimes you can, if you have like really dark area in somewhere and you can't get it by this light, even if you change this one, like let's say to 2, maybe it's gonna be too high. Yeah, I think it's look better. I prefer to have like this. So all they are linked with each other. Don't forget our world when we go in to shade the background and the image we have in there as well. So you can go to shader and change, like in here, shading, and in here you can change the strength if you want more exposure light, just like this. You can change to your liking, but I'm gonna undo that. So I'm happy with that for now. And the other thing, which is the light strength, for example, you change this one to a little bit higher, and if you still, as I said, you can't get some area to be light up the way you want, you just add another point light and just make it really low, or area light. That's really helpful. So for example, if I want like the roof to have a little bit more light, what I can do, I'm just gonna add another light, like which is Shift A and point light, and then G, Z, move it up like this, G, X, like this, and make the strength a little bit high and make bluish color, and make it softer by turning the radius, make it a little bit higher. This is one way, and even adding the strength, I'll move the light to the other side because the moon is from this side, and G, Z to move it up. So sometimes you can, but always remember when you're adding more lights, that means the rendering time is gonna go up, so be careful with that. But this is another way you can add light into your scene and making it look better. I don't want the videos get really long, so probably I may be gonna play with the setting a little bit more if I'm not happy with, and you do with yours. You know the basic, you know how things work, so I think you're gonna be okay to do it by your own now. And next I'm gonna add a camera and maybe animate our camera to have like some nice view from our scene. So I will see you in the next video.